We had a very rich sharing the Dharma day this past weekend, and weekend before, I'm still thinking about it. There's such a short chapter that Venerable talked on from An Open-Hearted Life called Compassion and Living Ethically. And right at the beginning of the chapter, it says that ethical conduct has two aspects: do no harm and be of benefit. It's like, there's just the way that it was phrased in the book that just really struck me. It's like, it can just be, ethical conduct can be subsumed down to these two things. It's just so simple. And then in the discussion or the Q&A that followed after the talk, one of the participants, or one of our new guests that came, said something that landed for me, in that my ethical conduct is very context dependent. And I was saying this in the sense, like, of course our ethical conduct is context dependent. Everything we do is context dependent, causes and conditions. But it was in the framework of when my afflictions overrun me, my ethical conduct is very context dependent. When I want what I want and I'm trying to get it, my ethical conduct is very context dependent. I'll do all sorts of things that I wouldn't normally do that aren't in accord with my values when I'm at that edge. And I find that to be so true. And yeah, just today, I was also reflecting kind of on that line, something that Venerable Tarpa has shared a few times, in terms of when we get to the third or fourth bump in the day, it's just quite hard to keep a level mind. So today, I think at 10 to 5, I had my first bump. Then at 5:30, I had another bump. No, 2 bumps. And then at dishes, I had another bump. And I'm just like, wow. At that time, thankfully nothing came out of my mouth that I regretted, and I was able to remain even on the outside, but on the inside I was just like, I need to guard my mind. Just to see that accumulative effect of these small things, I'm so vulnerable, and it's just helpful to appreciate that and to be aware and to guard the mind and to see that it's hard to keep a happy mind, and to also look back at these bumps and see what was going on. One was an interpretation of another person's actions. Okay, well, that's not helpful. Another one was just disappointment with how I acted. It's like, okay, well, then just do better next time. No self-beating. Another one was taking on someone else's reaction. Don't go there. And then the other one was not being able to have a sense of humor. It's like, so simple to resolve, yet these accumulative bumps. So that was a fruitful, ongoing reflection I've had from sharing the Dhamma on kind of like one direction. But on the other direction, something else came up that's also been very helpful and inspiring, where in the discussion group, some question was asked. I can't remember what the question was exactly, but it brought up this discussion where someone shared a story where there was, mother and son went into a store to buy a drink, and he came back and there was no drink. Mom asks, where's the drink? He's like, oh, I gave my pocket money to the homeless person. Mom reacts, why did you do that? He's out there busking every day. He makes more money than... Son says, Mom, I did the right thing. If he doesn't actually need the money, he has to live with himself from taking money from a child. This comes from a 9-year-old. And that really stunned me in terms of, and the group in the sharing, just being able to come in so clear, so young, this conviction and clarity in ethical conduct, in generosity, in kindness, and even being on the receiving end of someone else's criticism to be clear. Oh, that's how I want to be when I come in next. And it sparked my own reflection, because I had my own friend who, at the age of 3 to 5, informed his parents that he was no longer going to eat meat because he didn't want animals to die for it to be on his plate. So then mother turned vegetarian, brother turned vegetarian. And from then on, as across our friendship, I also saw how he influenced, and he supported my return to vegetarianism, and another one of our friends as well, with this value of protecting life, valuing life, and being able to make very easy choices that bring a lot of benefit. But again, to think like, I was not that way inclined at 3 or 5 years old. I was so self-absorbed in other things, just wanting to have fun, or even as a 9-year-old to be so clear upon receiving criticism and being generous in that way. I wasn't like that. Um, and so it's just sparked this reflection of how can I come in next life with this clarity and confidence in my values, that no matter what's really going on, I can enact them, not only for my own benefit, but particularly see the benefit that it brings to others. That it's just, it's that thing of one small seed can bring a huge oak tree. It karma expands and it can influence, and then from that person, it just ripples out. How beautiful, and we have that potential within us. So in terms of that, I said, well, what can I do? And I think it's being very clear about my intentions, of course, but to these things that, we're all vegetarian at the Abbey, but to be really clear about why. It's not just we come here and we're vegetarian, it's we're here and we do that because we value life. And there's so many things that are just habits now that I can lose the clarity of my intention behind the why. But to refresh that and get in touch with that so that it's really in mind when I'm doing these things. And then I'll come in next life clear about that same thing right from the start. And it took me back to the gathas, or the small verses that we were memorizing at the full ordination as well. They have these things that we can say at different actions that we do to help us reconnect with our virtuous intention about everything that we do. And I like the one that we do when we go to the toilet, in terms of when I relieve myself, may each and every sentient being eliminate attachment, anger, and ignorance, and relinquish destructive deeds. So that's a nice reflection to do while I'm going to the toilet. And then there's everyone's, from like washing my hands to wiping myself, and on and on. But to slow down enough to allow myself to get in touch again with my virtuous motivations. It's not actually that easy to slow myself down, but I want to keep allowing myself to do that because I see the benefit, and I'm inspired by these stories to see the benefit not just in the present moment, but in the long-term vision of multiple lives, working towards awakening, and the positive impact that I can have, that every one of us can have on everyone around us by taking these small moments to be very clear about our compassion and about our ethical conduct.